January 4th, 2024 regular session of the Clarksville City Council is now called to order. Our chaplain of the day will be the First Lady of our city. The Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Councilperson McLaughlin. We'll invite you to stand if you wish, and Chaplain will lead us in prayer.
Gracious Lord, we are just so grateful, Father, just to be in your presence tonight. And Lord, just thank you as we begin this 2024 City Council session. Father, we just want to honor you. And Lord, I just ask your hands to be up on the council members and up on my husband Joe, our city clerk, over Lance, and our deputy clerk. And I just pray, Father, right now, just to give them your wisdom tonight. And Father, let us, Lord, just be an example of you tonight. And Father, we just trust in you with all our heart and lean not into our own understanding. And Father, in all our ways we acknowledge you, and Father, you direct us tonight. Now, Father, I want to thank you, Lord, for getting us through 2023 and through all the things that, Father, your hand was upon us. And Father, we just commit this year to you. And Lord, we just pray that, Father, that we will be the light, Father, in this community. And Father, help us tonight, Lord. Just help us tonight, Lord. And Father, we commit to you tonight this agenda, everything that it's on it, Lord, and even for those that are in the crowd tonight, we just ask your hands of blessings to be upon them. Now, Lord, may you bless each and every person tonight and keep them, Lord. Make your face shine upon them. Be gracious to them, Lord, and give them your peace that passes all understanding. In your name I pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Members, please register your attendance. Madam Clerk, take the roll, please.
All members are present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. First item on our agenda is the Planning Commission public hearing. Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. We have 11 items on our agenda tonight. Madam Clerk, will you please read the ordinances and resolutions?
Ordinance 58, 2023-24, first reading, zoning case Z66, 2023, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Vernon Weekly for zone change on a parcel fronting on the north frontage of Rossview Road, west of the Warfield Boulevard and Rossview Road intersection from O1 Office District to C5 Highway and Arterial Commercial District. Ordinance 59, 2023-24, first reading, zoning case number Z68, 2023, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Terrence Burney for zone change on a parcel fronting on the east frontage of Kelly Lane, 135 plus or minus feet south of the Kelly Lane and Bagwell Drive intersection from R2 Single Family Residential District to C1 Neighborhood Commercial District. Ordinance 60, 2023-24, first reading, zoning case number Z69, 2023, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Terrence Burney for zone change on a parcel fronting on property fronting on the east frontage of North Ford Street, 160 plus or minus feet north of the southern terminus of North Ford Street, from M2 General Industrial District to R4 Multiple Family Residential District. Ordinance 61, 2023-24, first reading, zoning case number Z71, 2023, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of JDM Holdings for zone change on property fronting on the east frontage of Evans Road, 60 plus or minus feet south of the Evans Road and Shaw Drive intersection, from RM1 Single Family Mobile Home Residential District to R4 Multiple Family Residential District. Resolution 28, 2023-24, a resolution approving the abandonment of a portion of unimproved public right-of-way north of Marion Street, south of Bailey Street, east of 8th Street, and west of Ford Street. Resolution 29, 2023-24, a resolution approving the abandonment of a portion of unimproved public right-of-way north of Marion Street, south of Bailey Street, east of 8th Street, and west of Ford Street. Resolution 30, 2023-24, a resolution adopting a plan of service for territory east of International Boulevard. Resolution 31, 2023-24, resolution annexing territory east of International Boulevard. Resolution 32, 2023-24, a resolution adopting a final plan of services, progress report for annexed territory east of Interstate 24, south of Rossview Road, and north of the Red River. Resolution 33, 2023-24, a resolution adopting a final plan of services, progress report for annexed parcels and right-of-way between the east side of Oakland Road and the west side of Interstate 24, and ordinance 56, 2023-24, first reading, an ordinance amending the official code of the city of Clarksville, reapportioning the city of Clarksville for the purpose of electing persons for the office of city council member due to recently annexed territories, and this item does not need a public hearing.
Councilperson Streetman.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Madam Clerk. Mayor, I move we go into public hearing.
Motion been made and properly seconded to revert to public hearing without objection. We're now in public hearing. First item is ordinance 58, 2023-24, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Vernon Weekly. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of ordinance 58? You give us your name, you have 5 minutes, sir.
Mayor, Council, Vernon Weekly, 108 Center Point Drive. This request before you tonight has the approval of the Planning Commission staff and the Planning Commission, and I'm here to ask for your vote for this ordinance tonight. Be glad to answer any questions if you have any.
Thank you, Mr. Weekly. Councilperson Zacharias, you're recognized.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor. I'm looking at the traffic assessment that was submitted with this application. Looks like it was done by Weekly Brothers. Is that your firm?
From Britt Little as the engineer on it, yes, sir.
Okay, but you have a financial or material interest in the firm.
That's correct.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure. I didn't want to assume and be wrong. I just want to say I really appreciate that your report shows the trips that the current zoning would generate and compares it to the traffic that the proposed land use would use. Would you agree that that type of information is important for us as decision makers to reach those kind of decisions?
Yes, it would be another piece of the information.
All right. That's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilperson Allen, you're recognized.
Sir, is both of the ones beside it, are those also you guys' property?
No, they're owned by another entity.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Weekly, I know I'm out of order, but what about the 20 acres you were going to give us in that annex property?
I have met with the councilwoman and the parks out there on site and toured them around it, and haven't heard any more progress since then, but I think they were pleased with what I showed them.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience wish to speak in favor of ordinance 58? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against ordinance 58? Next item is ordinance 59, 2023-24, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Terrence Burney. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of ordinance 59, excuse me. Anyone in the audience wish to speak against ordinance 59? Next item is ordinance 60, 2023-24, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application again of Terrence Burney. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of ordinance 60? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against ordinance 60? If you would please come forward, give us your name, and you'll have 5 minutes.
Hi, my name is Joy Welker. I live on that street. Our neighborhood is home to many multi-generational families who have lived there for years. We're deeply concerned about the proposed rezoning. We have a very small, it's a one-way street that's a cul-de-sac, and I don't think that we would be able to handle the traffic congestion that would come along with that many families coming in and out with traffic from not only their families, but friends, families, whatever, also coming in and out of that street. It's a very narrow street. One car can barely come in and out, and there's nowhere else for any traffic to go. We also have petitions that have been signed from almost everyone on the street, to include family members from James Wilkinson that owns the lot next door to that. He is deceased, but I do have his children's signatures on the petition. We have 22 signatures on it against it. That's all. I don't know what to do with it.
If you'll hand it to Lieutenant Gill, he'll give it to the clerk for distribution.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, we have a question for you.
Yes.
Councilperson Reynolds, you're recognized.
Hi, how are you? I'd like to know, what do you do when you're trying to leave and someone's trying to come in? How do you manage that?
We pull off to the side and let the other car pass.
So, because there's not enough room on that road for two
No,
cars.
no. You cannot, on any area of the street, there is no room to pass each other. One person will have to pull over to the side. And when they built the other multifamily home, we didn't even know that that was being built back there. They destroyed what little road we do have with all of the heavy machinery coming in and out. And one of the petitioners that did sign owns the first house. There's a lot next to it, and they parked all of the heavy machinery there. And he wrote on his page that he signed that that was one of the reasons he's against it as well. They just use his lot, empty lot there as a area to put all of that there, and it's destroyed his lot as well.
They didn't put any extra turning space when they put in the.
No, and they still have not fixed the street. It's, the pavement is crumbled, or I don't know how you say that, but yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions from Ms. Welker? Councilperson Smith, you're recognized.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for coming forward. I understand what you're saying. I have some relatives that live in that area as well. What would you like to see over there? If you know, because I am kind of against this multifamily because the road is very narrow. So what would you think would be a good idea?
Just a nice house. Or two nice houses. That would look better aesthetically, and it wouldn't be as much traffic, of course. And there are so cars just come in. It's one right after another. There's no way we could handle 20 or 30 more cars in and out of there a day. Yeah.
I understand that. That's a good idea. Because I know we voted this down before on something he brought forth. They wanted some apartments, a lot of apartments, and I know that wouldn't fit.
There's already one back there. It's got a 5-plex, and there's a VA home as well that's a 5-plex. And that's what I was saying. We didn't even know, there were no signs. There was a sign in the yard for this one, which is why we're here today. But yeah, and there's also, it's on the back side of the rock quarry. We have weekly blastings that literally shakes our houses, and it's back there, backed up against the back of that rock quarry. So I don't know what the laws are when you're building, if that would, what they have to do with that, if it makes a difference.
I don't think we approve that. I think that came from another way. But anyway, thank you.
Anyone else have questions for Ms. Welker? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience wish to speak against Ordinance 60? Next item on our agenda is, public hearing agenda is Ordinance 61, 2023-24, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of JDM Holdings LLC. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of Ordinance 61? Mr. Darnell, if you give us your name, you have 5 minutes.
Yes, sir. Marty Darnell. I'm at 1770 Gulfstream Road. I'm here to answer any questions y'all might have.
Any questions for Mr. Darnell? You got off easy tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience wish to speak in favor of Ordinance 61? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against Ordinance 61? Next item is Resolution 28, 2023-24, a resolution approving the abandonment of a portion of unimproved public right-of-way north of Marion Street, south of Bailey Street, east of 8th Street, and west of Ford Street. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of Resolution 28? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against Resolution 28? Next item is Resolution 29, 2023-24, a resolution approving the abandonment of a portion of unimproved public right-of-way north of Marion Street, south of Bailey Street, east of 8th Street, and west of Ford Street. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of Resolution 29? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against Resolution 29? Next item is Resolution 30, 2023-24, a resolution adopting a plan of service for territory east of International Boulevard. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of Resolution 30? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against Resolution 30? Next item is Resolution 31, 2023-24, a resolution annexing territory east of International Boulevard. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of Resolution 31? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against Resolution 31? Next item is Resolution 32, 2023-24, a resolution adopting a final plan of services progress report for annexed territory east of Interstate 24, south of Rossview Road, and north of the Red River. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of Resolution 32? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against Resolution 32? Next, last item on our public hearing agenda is Resolution 33, 2023-24, a resolution adopting a final plan of services progress report for annexed parcels and right-of-way between the east side of Oakland Road and the west side of Interstate 24. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of Resolution 33? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against Resolution 33? That completes our hearing. Councilperson Streetman.
Mayor, I move we go back into regular session.
Motion been made and properly seconded to revert to regular session. Without objection, we're back in regular session. Councilperson Streetman.
As a reminder, all motions upon the advice of legal counsel shall be for approval. Ordinance 58, 2023-24, first reading, zoning, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Vernon Weekly for zone change on a parcel fronting on the north frontage of Rossview Road, plus or minus feet west of the Warfield Boulevard and Rossview Road intersection from O1 Office District to C5 Highway and Arterial Commercial District. Both the Regional Planning Commission and the staff recommended approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 58. Any comment or question regarding ordinance 58? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, take the vote.
12 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 58 is adopted. First reading. Councilperson Streetman.
Ordinance 59, 2023-24, first reading. Amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Terrence Burney for zone change on a parcel fronting on the east frontage of Kelly Lane, 135 plus or minus feet south of the Kelly Lane and Bagwell Drive intersection from R2 Single Family Residential District to C1 Neighborhood Commercial District. Both the Regional Planning Commission and the staff recommended approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 59. Any comment or question regarding ordinance 59? Councilperson McLaughlin, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to repeat what one of my colleagues had stated last week, just because the property owner says they're going to put low-income childcare in this property if it's rezoned isn't necessarily the case. We have to vote for what the zoning classification is, and this would be a heavier use classification in this neighborhood than is already there, and that's why I'll be voting no. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comment or question regarding ordinance 59? Councilperson Smith, you're recognized.
Yes, I would like to see some homes put in that area, low-income homes put in that area instead of this commercial in this small area. Didn't know that some other commercial facilities were built already. Didn't know anything about that. But so I will be voting against this as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comment or question regarding ordinance 59? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
4 yes, 9 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 59 fails. Councilperson Streetman.
Ordinance 60, 2023-24, first reading. Amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Terrence Burney for zone change on a parcel fronting on property fronting on the east frontage of North Ford Street, 160 plus or minus feet north of the southern terminus of North Ford Street from M2 General Industrial District to R4 Multiple Family Residential District. Both the Regional Planning Commission and the staff recommended approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 60. Councilperson Red, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll be voting no. The street there is just way too narrow. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilperson McLaughlin, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I too will be voting no because of the street, and I do think that we need to look at any future higher density development. We do need to look at bringing those developers in on making some road improvements. If there's an emergency back there with multifamily and more multifamily, it's going to take longer for the emergency services to get back there to people. And if you haven't driven 4th Street, what the speaker said is absolutely true. You have to pull way over for another car to pass if you're side by side. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilperson Reynolds, you're recognized.
I will be voting no for the reasons already stated, but also this is the edge of an active quarry, and I just think that the M2 in this property is the proper zoning, and we should not be putting citizens in danger like this.
Any other comment or question regarding ordinance 60? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, take the vote.
0 yes, 13 no, 0 abstain.
Wow, close. Ordinance 60 fails. Councilperson Streetman.
Ordinance 61, 2023, 24, first reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of JDM Holdings LLC for zone change on property fronting on the east frontage of Evans Road, 60 plus or minus feet south of the Evans Road and Shaw Drive intersection from RM1 Single Family Mobile Home Residential District to R4 Multiple Family Residential District. Both the Regional Planning Commission and the staff recommended approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 61. Any comment or question regarding ordinance 61? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
12 yes, 1 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 61 passes. Councilperson Streetman.
Resolution 28, 2023, 24, a resolution approving the abandonment of a portion of unimproved public right-of-way north of Marion Street, south of Bailey Street, east of 8th Street, and west of Ford Street. Make a motion for approval.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of resolution 28. Any comment or question regarding this resolution? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
13 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Resolution 28 is adopted. Councilperson Streetman.
Resolution 29, 2023, 24, a resolution approving the abandonment of a portion of unimproved public right-of-way north of Marion Street, south of Bailey Street. No, it is. Okay, I'm right. Sorry. I apologize. I will continue. It just threw me off. Apologize.
Okay.
Resolution 29, 2023, 24, a resolution approving the abandonment of a portion of unimproved public right-of-way north of Marion Street, south of Bailey Street, east of 8th Street, and west of Ford Street. I make a motion for approval.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of resolution 29. Any comment or question? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
13 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Resolution 29 is adopted. Councilperson Streetman.
Resolution 30, 2023, 24, a resolution adopting a plan of service for territory east of International Boulevard. I make a motion for approval.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of resolution 30. Councilperson Reynolds, you're recognized.
Yes, I've really been trying to do some research, and I just have not been able to get my question of why. This property, from what I researched, is,
Point.
oh,
This is a plan of service. The next one is actual annexation.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, any other comment or question regarding this resolution? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
12 yes, 1 no, 0 abstain.
Resolution 30 is adopted. Councilperson Streetman.
Resolution 31, 2023, 24, a resolution annexing territory east of International Boulevard. I make a motion for approval.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of Resolution 31. Now, Councilperson Reynolds.
Thank you. So, from what I understand, this is currently public property. County owns it, and they're transferring it.
No, the city owns the property that our city general fund assets are on. It's just not inside the city limits.
It's not inside the city limits. So, but it is the fire station and the EMS, which are also shared responsibility. They share duties within the county. Like they do the industrial park, and EMS is a shared, right?
EMS and fire rescue do provide services in the industrial park. Of course, EMS is a county function.
Right.
Now, the police department does not. That's the sheriff's office responsibility.
So this is going to cost the ratepayers $256,000 to do, and I guess I'm still struggling with why do we need to do this? Who's asking for this and why?
Well, I think it's a good idea to have all city general fund assets within the city limits. And it's also the long game. While it's costing, it is generating revenue for CDE. So it's not just expense, but it is revenue.
I mean, it's a wash. I mean, it's no new revenue because we're already paying those bills, right?
Well, it's outside of CDE's service area. So no, they're not getting any revenue currently.
But again, to do that, it's going to cost $256,000.
In the short term, but long term, they will have revenue because of the electricity usage.
Okay. All right. I'll be voting no. Thanks.
Councilperson, okay, anyone else? All right, seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
12 yes, 1 no, 0 abstain.
Resolution 31 is adopted. Councilperson Streetman.
Mayor, since we've already had the public hearing on the next two items, can we take these both up together, please?
Any objection to taking Resolution 32 and 33 together? Councilperson McLaughlin.
As long as I'm able to register a separate vote, if they're merged.
Okay.
I can
You
leave them
wouldn't be
separate.
able to.
Sorry.
Okay. We'll just keep them separate.
Thank you.
Councilperson Streetman.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Resolution 32, 2023, 24, a resolution adopting a final plan of services progress report for annexed territory east of Interstate 24, south of Rossview Road, and north of Red River. I make a motion for approval.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of Resolution 32. Any comment or question regarding Resolution 32? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
13 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Resolution 32 is adopted. Councilperson Streetman.
Resolution 33, 2023, 24, a resolution adopting a final plan of services progress report for annexed parcels and right-of-way between the east side of Oakland Road and the west side of Interstate 24. I make a motion for approval.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of Resolution 33. Any comment or question regarding Resolution 33? Hearing none, seeing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
11 yes, 2 no, 0 abstain.
Resolution 33 is adopted. Councilperson Streetman.
Ordinance 56, 2023, 24, first reading. An ordinance amending the official code of the city of Clarksville, reapportioning the city of Clarksville for the purpose of electing persons for the office of city council member due to recently annexed territories. I make a motion for approval.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of Ordinance 56. Any comment or question regarding Ordinance 56? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
13 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 56 passes first reading. Councilperson Streetman.
That concludes my report, Mayor.
Thank you. We're now ready for the consent agenda. Madam Clerk, would you please read the consent agenda?
All items in this portion of the agenda are considered to be routine and non-controversial by the council and may be approved by one motion. However, a member of the council may request that an item be removed for separate consideration under the appropriate committee report. Ordinance 35, 2023-24, second reading, an ordinance amending the official code, Title 10, Offenses Miscellaneous, Chapter 3, Anti-Noise Regulations pertaining to economic development and entertainment complexes. Ordinance 41, 2023-24, second reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Mary Lou Persinger, Burt Singletary agent, for zone change on property located on a tract of land located at the northeast corner of Tiny Town Road and Allen Road, intersection from AG Agricultural District to R2A Single Family Residential District, C5 Highway Arterial Commercial District, and C2 General Commercial District. Ordinance 42, 2023-24, second reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of McGregor Holloman, John Mark Holloman, agent, for zone change on a parcel of land located east of the Spring Street and Beaumont Street intersection from M1 Light Industrial District to CBD Central Business District. Ordinance 43, 2023-24, second reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Jeffrey Robinson, Cody Dahl agent, for zone change on property located on a parcel of land fronting on the south frontage of Hickory Heights, 310 plus or minus feet west of the Hickory Heights and Walnut Drive intersection, from AG Agricultural and R2 Single Family Residential District to R2A Single Family Residential District. Ordinance 45, 2023-24, second reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of U-Bank LLC, Johnny Piper agent, for zone change on property located on a tract of land fronting on the south frontage of U-Bank Drive, 700 plus or minus feet west of the U-Bank Drive and Innovation Way intersection, from N2 General Industrial District to M1 Light Industrial District. Ordinance 49, 2023-24, second reading, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of J&N Enterprises for zone change on property located on a portion of the tract of land located north of Tiny Town Road, east of Andersonville Drive, and west of Egret Drive and Sandpiper Drive, from R2 Single Family Residential District and R2D 2 Family Residential District to C2 General Commercial District and C5 Highway and Arterial Commercial District. Ordinance 57, 2023-24, an ordinance authorizing the City of Clarksville Gas and Water Department to forget certain water usage for customers suffering leakage due to the damage to structures caused by the EF3 tornado on December 9th, 2023. Ordinance 62, 2023-24, second reading, an ordinance authorizing the City of Clarksville Building and Codes Department to waive permit fees for customers suffering a total loss or damage to structures caused by the EF3 tornado on December 9th, 2023. Resolution 34, 2023-24, a resolution approving appointments to the Museum Board and Tree Board, and the adoption of minutes from December 7th, 2023.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'll entertain a motion in a second. Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of the consent agenda. Councilperson Zacharias, you're recognized on the consent agenda.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to pull items B and F for separate consideration.
Okay, those are items B, which is ordinance 41, and item F, ordinance 49. We'll take those up immediately following the consent agenda.
Thank you, Mayor.
Councilperson Holloman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to register and abstain on ordinance 42, item C, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other member wish to be recognized on the consent agenda? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote on the consent agenda? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
13 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
The consent agenda is adopted. We'll now take up those two items that were pulled from the consent agenda, ordinance 41, 2023-24, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Mary Lou Persinger, Burt Singletary agent, for zone change on property located on a tract of land located at the northeast corner of Tinytown Road and Allen Road intersection from AG Agricultural District to R2A, Single Family Residential District, C5 Highway and Arterial Commercial, C2 General Commercial District. Councilperson Zacharias, you pulled those. You're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Last month, first of all, do we need a motion?
We need a motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve this item.
Motion made and properly seconded for ordinance 41. You're recognized.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Last month, I did speak against this ordinance, and my concern was primarily with the traffic assessment and the number of trips that both this and the next item that we're going to discuss would add to Tinytown. Since then, I have been able to get some additional information. I've been learning a lot about different methods to determine what exactly a road can handle, and I'm using those words because that's what the report says. Tinytown can handle the additional traffic. This report does not indicate what standard was used to make that assessment, but it does talk about the number of trips that these two land reuse applications would generate. The combined would generate approximately 18,000 additional trips. I was able to find out how many trips the Tinytown sees on a daily basis. That information was not in the report. The street department didn't have it, but they were able to direct me to TDOT, who says that Tinytown sees between 25 and 30,000 trips a day. That means that these 18,000 trips are going to add between 60, it would account for a 60 to 72% increase in the amount of traffic on Tinytown. Without any further information contained in the report about what metric is being used to measure or to make the determination that Tinytown can handle it, just simply that verbiage, I can't vote in favor of this, and I hope you would hear me out, okay? Talk to the street department, explain or ask them to explain to me what they mean when they put comments in the report that we see that says, you know, traffic study or traffic assessment was received and accepted. They told me that the street department does not endorse any report. I'm not trying to suggest that the street department doesn't endorse this report specifically. In general, they don't endorse reports. They just accept them and report that they have been done, I guess. Ultimately, we have to decide if we are going to accept the findings in that traffic assessment. We owe our constituents the knowledge or the confidence that we are making the most informed decision that we can make on stuff like this. And this report is not it. And for that reason, at this time, I would like to make a motion to refer this back to the RPC to give the applicant and their engineer an opportunity to address some of these concerns.
You've heard the motion. Do I hear a second? Been properly seconded to re-refer this ordinance back to the Regional Planning Commission for the purposes stated. Any comment or question regarding the motion to re-refer? Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized on the motion to re-refer.
I am not sure that we can actually do that. I think zoning decisions have to be made within 90 days. I remember that having been discussed before, and this is now on the second reading. So if it's going back, then that's going to take it, it's going to be another first reading and a second reading. I think we may be able to postpone it. We could postpone it once, but I don't believe, I'm not sure. And without Mr. Tyndall here to confirm that, I'm not sure, but I know there's a time limit involved with zoning cases.
Okay, you heard the explanation. Any question or comment regarding that explanation?
I'd like to make a motion, if it's okay, that we postpone it for 30 days. Would that be sufficient to try and get the additional information that you're looking for?
Going to need Mr. Baker to weigh in on that one. We got motions flying everywhere.
I apologize.
For Dummies book. I haven't seen him pull that out in a long time.
Remember Jim Doyle used to have,
All right,
God bless him.
the motion to refer can be amended, I think that's how her motion should be taken, as an amendment to his main motion, his motion to refer, and hers would be a motion to postpone. Totally different type of motion, but it is a proper amendment to his motion. If
Okay,
you want to treat it that way.
Mayor,
okay.
I'm not sure if I can actually talk across the way to him, so maybe it'd be better for me to just rescind my motion altogether since it wasn't a proper motion to be made. And if that's a motion he wants to make, he would be able to amend his own.
Okay, we'll allow that. Councilperson Zacharias, do you wish to amend your motion to postpone till the February regular session?
Mayor, I would like to get an answer on whether or not this could be referred back to, what I'm worried about happening is if we postpone it for, what happens if we postpone it for 90 days? It automatically comes back? I'm sorry, postpone it for 30 days. Does it automatically come back?
Comes back automatically.
Answered? Okay. I'm fine with that.
I do have some concerns, as stated by Councilmember Streetman. I don't remember the language. Unfortunately, I'm sorry. I did not bring my zoning code tonight. I usually do, and for some reason I forgot it. And Mr. Tennell's not here. There is some language in there, I believe, that there's a certain cutoff, and I think it may say that it's, if you don't act on it within that time period, it's taken as approved. And so I don't know that for sure it says that, and I don't remember what the exact timeline is, but I seem to recall some language like that. So I would be a little leery about you not acting on this.
So the question that Councilperson Zacharias raised in his motion was to re-refer. Would that run out the clock on this?
We've referred zoning cases back.
I don't know. I can't remember this ever coming up before, believe it or not. Yeah. We might have to take a recess and let me call Mr. Tennell and or go look at the zoning code.
Madam Clerk?
Or you could push it back to the agenda, later in the agenda.
Okay, why don't we move it to the heel of the agenda, which is at the end? Would that be appropriate?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we'll move this to the heel. All right, the heel meaning the heel of the boot, meaning the end. Sorry, legislative, I'm still in therapy over that. Okay, all right. We are now on the second item that was pulled from the consent agenda, ordinance 49, 2023-24, amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of J&N Enterprises for zone change on property located on a portion of the tract of land located on north of Tinytown Road, east of Andersonville Drive, west of Egret Drive and Sandpiper Drive, from R2 Single Family Residential District, R2D Two Family Residential District to C2 General Commercial District, C5 Highway and Arterial Commercial District. Councilperson Zacharias, you're recognized.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to table this ordinance, thus creating a new heel.
Point of information, Councilperson Allen.
Tabling looks different than just putting it to the back. Tabling means you're just sitting it and you can't hear it anymore the rest of the day.
Table means it goes away.
Yes.
Moving it to the, no? Count. It requires some gymnastics there.
Our Councilman Red, our parliamentary expert, is correct, I believe, in that you have to first do a formal motion unless you just want to announce, is there any objection, to put it on the table, and then there will need to be a motion to take it from the table. And all a tabling motion does is move it to later in the same meeting.
Okay.
If you want to move it to a different meeting, that is a motion to postpone.
Okay. You've heard it here first. Breaking news. Okay. Councilperson Allen, you had the floor. Anything else? Okay. All right. You've heard the motion to table ordinance 49. Do I hear a second? Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of tabling ordinance 49. We'll do this by voice vote if that's okay, Mr. Baker. All in favor of tabling ordinance 49, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no. Any wish to abstain? Motion to table passes. We are now ready for the Finance Committee report. Chairperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance 39, 2023, 24. First reading postponed December 7th, 2023. An ordinance amending Part 2 Code of Ordinances, Title 13, Utilities and Service, Chapter 3, Gas, Water, and Sewer Service, the City of Clarksville, relative to gas rates, charges, and/or fees. Both the Finance and the Gas and Water Committees recommended approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 39. Councilperson Lovato, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to call the question.
Motion been made to call for the question to cease discussion on ordinance 39. Do I hear a second? Properly seconded. Any comment? This is a non-debatable motion, so it requires 2/3, so which would be 9 of us. So we're on the board to cease discussion on ordinance 39. All members were voting to cease discussion on ordinance 39. Requires 9 votes. Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
8 yes, 5 no, 0 abstain.
Motion to cease discussion fails. We're back on the ordinance 39. Councilperson Smith, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. On this ordinance, I want to clarify my thoughts that I made last week. Some of you were puzzled as to what I said. And when I say something, I know what I'm saying, but I want to make it clear for some of you that did not understand. First, I said I do not think the time is right to increase the heat gas fee prices for various reasons. One, the catastrophe experience that many Clarksville residents encountered during the tornado. Second, senior citizens and single parents with children who live on fixed income cannot afford to pay the increase at this time. Third, the cost of living funds do not support the U.S. economic cost push and demand poor inflation. Fourth, also the gas and water department increased the water and sewage last year, which caused a burden on various residents today. I listened to the statistics that Mr. Riggins provided to us, and I believe he said approximately 16,000 residents, water or gas was turned off for non-payment. He said if both is due to be turned off, they just turn off one, and it's mainly the water. Lastly, I understand that Mr. Riggins wants to make the city residents pay the same amount as the county residents for gas, because he did not think it was right. I believe Mr. Riggins lives in the county, so I understand his frustrations. And he said, when I asked him, why do you think the fees or prices were different?
Madam,
Hold on.
no, not hold on. You don't disparage, especially a city employee by
Mayor,
insinuating
I'm driving
that he's wanting, you're making the wrong point. Do not disparage the character of a city employee or any other
not.
member of this council. You said he lives in the county, and that's why you want to make the gas rates
No,
equal.
I didn't say that.
You did say
And I
that.
believe-
The chair understood you said that.
Okay.
Please do not say that.
Okay, and he said, when I asked him why did he think the prices were different, he said for political views. Okay? I used an analogy. Analogy means to compare one thing with another that has similar features. An analogy is not merely to show, but it is to explain a principle, a belief, or an idea. For example, I use the property taxes to drive my point that it is not right to increase the city residents' gas fees because you want to make it equal to what the county residents pay or to supply your needs. City residents pay both taxes, but the county residents only pay one tax, which is county. I believe that the city residents should have some kind of incentive or reward for taking care of the city and county needs. With this, I then use the metaphor. We are RAPING people. In other words, we are willingly taken from others because we have the authority to do so. The Bible says in 1 Corinthians 6:12, I have the right to do anything. You say, but not everything is beneficial. In other words, just because something is technically legal doesn't mean that it is morally appropriate. And just because we can doesn't mean that we should. And I will be voting against this. Thank you.
Councilperson Reynolds, you're recognized.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to talk about first the increase in fees immediately after the reconnection and connection fees. You know, I know that we voted to waive them, but that's only for 60 days. Right now, in the next year to year and a half, our community is going to be very in flux, moving and turning things on and turning things off as they try to find residents that they can afford and continue to live in. So I think that this is not the time to increase our connection fees. I also want everyone to be sure, we talked about it briefly, but in 2027, this increase will create a $2.9 million annual additional income at the gas and water. And as we stand, the gas and water is, they're not $1 million in the hole. They're doing fine. The rates are fine, but they're not suffering. So I think that that is too much of an increase. And I also have made it very clear that I do not support equalizing the rates within the county and the industry and the residents. I think that there should be a differential, and I do not appreciate that the city is actually, city residents that we all represent are actually taking the brunt of this increase. And so for those reasons, I will be voting no.
Point of information, Mayor.
You're recognized, Councilperson Streetman, for a point of information.
Thank you, Mayor. The ordinance that we just passed in second reading, am I correct that the waiver of the service fees was unlimited? The 60 days actually, I think, applies to as far as any issues with them going over, but the service fees, wasn't that unlimited? It wasn't dependent upon the 60 days?
Yes, it was unlimited according to Mr. Riggins.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Councilperson Allen, you're recognized.
Okay, so I do appreciate that we put that ordinance in there. Everybody knows how I am about people. If this were just the incremental side of the rates going from 8 cents to 16 cents, I probably would vote for it. I am voting no, and I've talked to Mr. Reason about this ad nauseum. I am voting no because I cannot imagine that single mother or single father or person on a fixed income coming up with $50 to get their gas back on, let alone $100. I wish we could do that incrementally. I wish I would have figured out a way to do an amendment to do that incrementally. I am asking you guys to vote no or to postpone it again. And maybe I can sit down with Mr. Riggins and see if we can come up with an incremental way to raise the service fees. That's all I'm worried about. I do not want to see people without gas. I do not want to see people without water, because they can't come up with the extra $50, let alone $100. If we can come up with something incremental, I'll probably vote for this, but at this point, I cannot. Thank you.
Councilperson Holloman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. All right, so I guess I'm just gonna go ahead and just keep repeating the same things over that we keep repeating every meeting, because that's pretty much all we seem to do. So the fee changes, I mean, it is needed, you know. I mean, like, we have to get on board on this. Inflation is going up. We do have infrastructure updates that we have to fix. Some like multi-million-dollar projects of pipes that we have to replace. These projects are coming up whether we want them or not. We have to pay for them whether we want them or not. And the way the system works is, if we don't make these adjustments, these rate change adjustments, then everyone's going to be paying for it in the long run anyways, because it is a not-for-profit business. And you know, we've heard about the county, city, and the rates trying to equalize. That's coming whether we want it as or not as well. And that's going to come from the comptroller's office. So Mr. Riggins, as far as that, Mr. Riggins here, he has foresight, and is thinking ahead of the game. And I applaud him and it's hard work. And for all this, we up here at the city council, the city leaders, we have to have the strength to go ahead and do this now, do this tonight, and get this over with. Like the storm's coming, and we're sitting there twiddling our thumbs. But that's all I've got. Thank you.
Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't want to repeat what was said before me, but in regard to the inside and the outside fees, Mr. Riggins even talked about the fact that the other approach that could be done would be a bullseye approach, which wouldn't be anything that any of us would want to do, which means those that are closer to the to the service would be able to get it for less. And then it would be rings going further and further and further out. Many of those in the city would be the ones taking the brunt of that. The reason that he is working to equalize these is because he has no way to show that it is actually more expensive to serve the customers outside the county than it is inside the city. And that could either, you could even think about that further, in that when we annex a property in and they would have been gas for the county beforehand, they're gas for the city afterwards, automatically they're paying less. Well, it didn't cost him any less to serve that customer than it did before that decision was made. In regard to the fees that have been talked about, the service charges and the cost of them going up, I'm trying to remember, that one I believe was 2007, the last time it was changed, that it was increased. So you're talking about 15 years ago. Everything has gone up in 15 years, including wages that are being paid. The service fee that is being asked of us to change it to, that will allow it to cover for an employee to be able to go out there and turn it back on. But one thing that's not calculated in there, if the $50 isn't covering them going back there and turning it back on, the $50 definitely isn't covering someone having to first go out there and turn it off and turn it back on. If you leave it at what it is, then it's going to continue to cost more to cut it on and off than it does to it's going to cost the gas and water more than it's going to for the customer actually covering the cost that's related to it, meaning that everybody else is subsidizing that cost. Mr. Riggins spent a lot of time working with this company to be able to create what the service fees needed to be, what the rates needed to be. He brought it to us saying, this is what he needs. I trust what he's bringing to us. And, he's done his job. He's done what's needed to be done. Now the responsibility is on us in order to be able to give him what he needs so that he can get the infrastructure needs done that are in line to be completed, including the gas pipes that he talked about that need to be replaced. So I would ask you to vote in favor of this. Let's vote on it tonight. We've already postponed it once and talked about it numerous times. It's time for us to move forward.
Councilperson Little, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm not going to be very long. Just going to bring some previous things I talked about. I think the rate increase, I'm pretty sure everybody understands that's going to happen no matter what. We do have projects that need to be done. I think the biggest thing that I'm trying to drive home is, and I want to thank Mr. Riggins for all his work done and thank him for providing this information. I really appreciate it. Is, the 16,000, about 16.5 thousand people who account was deactivated for non-payment. So that's 16.5 people who are having it rough, who are struggling, is things such as that. And my biggest issue with that is I used to be there. I lived that life. I know what it's like. And so I put myself in that shoe because I was there. And now I would have to pay more to get it reconnected along with a higher fee. So if I couldn't make it before, I definitely can't make it now. Now, if my only source of heat for the winter is gas, I'm just out of luck. And so I'm just saying to think about those 16.5 thousand people during the wintertime who can't get reconnected because they can't afford the higher fees. Higher fees are going to happen. That's part of life. But we need to make sure we're taking care of our constituents too. That's all I got to say.
Councilperson Smith, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. And I agree with my colleagues who've just spoken. And also, as I sit here, I think about these people in positions, they make $100,000 a year, $90,000 a year. This is public record. So I'm not saying nothing that ain't true, and I want it on the record. And I want y'all to know that these people that vote for this, please don't vote for them when they run again next year. So keep that in mind, constituents. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comment or questions? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote on ordinance 39? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
8 yes, 5 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 39 is adopted. First reading. Chairperson Streetman, you're recognized.
Mayor, if possible, could we take up the next few ordinance 50, 20, 23, 24, ordinance 51, 20, 23, 24, ordinance 52, 20, 23, 24, and ordinance 53, 20, 23, 24 all at once?
The suggestion request been made to combine the next four ordinances as one without objection. Okay. We'll take a formal vote on combining those four ordinances. Madam Clerk, as soon as you get us on the board, we're voting on whether to combine those four ordinances into one vote. We're voting to combine ordinance 50, 51, 52, and 53 into one motion, one vote. Okay, all members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
8 yes, 5 no, 0 abstain.
The motion to combine these ordinances passes. We are now back to you, Chairperson Streetman.
Ordinance 50, 2023, 24, an ordinance of the City of Clarksville authorizing the mayor or his designee to conduct negotiations and to enter an agreement for purchase of easements and/or rights-of-way, or should negotiations fail, to pursue condemnation through use of eminent domain for acquisition of property for a public purpose for the Appleton, Old Russellville, North Liberty Church Roadier Sidewalk Project. Ordinance 51, 20, 23, 24, first reading. An ordinance authorizing the exercise of the right of eminent domain to acquire easements, property, and rights-of-way required to facilitate construction of the Greenwood Avenue, Edmondson Ferry Road Sidewalk Project. Ordinance 52, 20, 23, 24, first reading. An ordinance of the City of Clarksville authorizing the mayor or his designee to conduct negotiations and to enter agreement for the purchase of easements and/or rights-of-way, or should negotiations fail, to pursue condemnation through use of eminent domain for acquisition of property for a public purpose for the Tiny Town Road Sidewalk Project. Ordinance 53, 20, 23, 24, first reading, an ordinance authorizing the exercise of the right of eminent domain to acquire easements, property, and rights of way required to facilitate construction of the Northeast Complex Sidewalk Project. The Finance Committee recommends approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of these four ordinances. Councilperson Allen, you're recognized.
So, really, it's like a point of information, because I'm kind of confused, because when we were going to combine two ordinances earlier, one person wanted to register a no vote, so we had to handle them separately. I want to do a no vote for one. I don't want to vote down all four of them. So when we did it earlier, it was one person that wanted to register a no vote. So how am I going to register my no vote for that one ordinance?
Because the only time you can register no votes is things that deal with consent agenda.
Right, but we went ahead and separated those two earlier because one person wanted to vote no on it. I just want to vote no on one, so now I'm stuck doing one vote for four.
By custom and practice, long-standing, the city council has and it's actually written on the agenda, that any member can pull an item for separate consideration from the consent agenda only. So I'm not sure I'm understanding your question.
It wasn't on the consent agenda, was it?
The
one from earlier was not on the consent agenda.
Which one are you talking about?
It was the two. You can answer me. Somebody. I just want to register a no vote on one ordinance.
It was on the two resolutions under the Planning Commission public hearing.
I'm not sure I understand the question now, but let me just say this. I don't think you can announce that you want to register a no vote on anything except consent agenda items. And I understand your predicament. You want to vote no on one of these, but I don't think you can do, I mean, you either got to vote no on all of it or no, or.
No, what I'm saying, Mr. Baker, is earlier when the situation happened,
Hang on. Councilperson Allen has the floor.
Yeah.
earlier when the situation happened, one person said, as long as I can say no to this one. And so we went ahead and read both of them separately. And so on this one, suddenly, we're going to do it all four together and I only have one vote. How is that situation different than this situation?
It may not be. I don't think anybody objected to it.
I objected to it. I said I want to do a no vote on one of these.
Yeah.
Councilperson, let's let our backup parliamentarian
I'm
here.
curious what
Councilperson Red.
Councilman Red has to say.
I believe that the proper motion would be to divide the question at this point, and she would take that portion out.
Yes.
And then she can vote on it separately. Her motion would be, I move to divide the question by taking this out. We vote on the rest, and then we come back and vote on the division.
Totally agree.
There you go.
Parliamentary wise, that is the way to deal with it
Okay.
now. And, you know, the question has been combined, but now it can be divided in whatever way. But it'll take a vote of the council to do that.
Councilperson Allen, you have the floor.
So I make a motion to just pull off the one for Tiny Town.
So your motion is to divide the question to,
Okay. Let me go back.
and that's ordinance 52.
Ordinance 52-2023-24.
Okay, you've heard the motion. It's been properly seconded to divide the question to vote on ordinance 52 separately. Any objection to dividing the question and taking up ordinance 52 separately? Hearing none, seeing none, let's do it by voice vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Anybody wish to abstain? We're dividing the question, so we'll take up ordinance 52 separately. But first, we're going to take up ordinance 50, 51, and 53. So any more comment or question regarding those three ordinances? Seeing none, hearing none, Madam Clerk, you got a lot of typing to do. Yeah, where's artificial intelligence when you need it? Or maybe not. I sure do too. Well said, Mr. Baker. Okay, we're voting on ordinances 50, 51, and 53. All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
13 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Those ordinances are adopted. We're now on ordinance 52. Councilperson Streetman, we're still with you. Chairperson Streetman,
Do I need to read it again?
please.
Okay. An ordinance of the city of Clarksville authorizing the mayor or his designee to conduct negotiations and to enter an agreement for the purchase of easements and/or rights of way, or should negotiations fail, to pursue condemnation through use of eminent domain for acquisition of property for a public purpose for the Tiny Town Road Sidewalk Project. The Finance Committee recommended approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 52. Councilperson Allen, did you wish to be recognized? Okay, all right. Any comment or question? Seeing none, hearing none, we're now voting on ordinance 52. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, take the vote.
12 yes, 1 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 52 is adopted. First reading. Chairperson Streetman.
Ordinance 54, 2023-24, first reading, An ordinance authorizing the mayor through the city attorney or his designee to conduct negotiations and enter into an agreement for purchase of the property at 1600 Needmore Road for the purpose of road realignment and a park complex. Finance and Parks and Recreation Committees recommended approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 54. Councilperson Allen, you're recognized on ordinance 54.
So, this is my ward, and I hope that you guys vote for this. There was a lot of research and everything done. I remember when the mayor and the owner first started talking about this. We have wanted a North Clarksville Recreation Center for a very, very long time. A lot of us know that with the fields and everything like that, you have to go all the way across town for football, soccer, baseball. We need this on this side of town. And although it's going to take some time, I think starting the process now would be wonderful. Thank you.
Councilperson Reynolds, you have an amendment. You're recognized on your amendment.
Yes, I would like to say that I agree and I have always supported the purchase of this, but I have a concern of the council not doing their due diligence. And we did do a level 1 environmental assessment, but there has been no soil sampling. And we owe it to the future council people to not pass on issues, because it'll be a while before we actually start doing any of the work. And we should bring the receipts. We should be able to show why and not pass on any surprises to our future elected officials. I think it's very important. So I'm going to ask for an amendment. I'm not asking that we not purchase it. I'm not asking that we don't move forward. I'm just asking that before we finalize the deal, that we have a completed environmental level 2 study, which requires soil sampling, and that we make it public. Both the appraisal and the environmental study that we posted both clearly stated that there has been no soil sampling, and that there is no way to tell by what they've done if there is any environmental issues on that property that has been 70 years a racetrack. So I've passed out the amendment. I know. So I would like to amend the ordinance 54 2023-24. Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me. To indicate that we have to have a level 2 environmental site assessment before we finalize the sale. And it is at the cost, and the city will pay for it.
Second.
So it's before you. Everybody should have a copy.
Motion's been made in favor of the amendment and properly seconded. Give legal counsel a moment. Mr. Baker.
I think the language is okay. The way I interpret this and read it is you would be approving the purchase, but it would be conditions based on the environmental site assessment level 2 being conducted to include comprehensive soil sampling at city's cost, and the results of that assessment would be publicly available prior to the finalization of the sale, and that the contract between the city and the seller would have to contain an express condition that there would be such an assessment, and that the report would be public. It would not, the sale itself would not be conditioned on any specific findings in the assessment, is the way I read it. So it could come back and say, oh yeah, this place is a nuclear hazard, and that would not, the city would not be able to move forward. I mean, would not be able to stop the sale. All this requires is that a study be done, and it concludes soil sampling. We pay for the study, and the study be made publicly available prior to the city signing the contract.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. Councilperson Little on the amendment.
Thank you, Mayor. I have to agree with this. I think it's great to do a soil sample. I was thinking about it when I was reading through it. I used to go out to the racetrack often, and there's a lot of times where there was oil spillage or vehicles breaking down gas and everything out there I can only imagine how many times that happened over the course of everything. There was fairs out there, constant machinery going out there. I would love to make sure that the area is safe, especially if we're going to have children and community using it. I think it's great.
Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized on the amendment.
Yes, sir. Before I could even get into speaking on this, Mayor, what effect could this have on the actual sale? Because there is already a contract in place and this language is not included.
Well, there's only a letter of intent subject to council approval of purchasing the property.
Okay.
So this would delay it, because it does require 2 readings of the ordinance to purchase. So it just pushes it down the road a bit, not knowing how long it'll take to do the phase 2 assessment.
Okay. Then thank you, sir. Then also to go on, I think I want to remind everybody that we're purchasing this and then they're going to lease it for 2 years. So what we're talking about doing is doing a soil sample test on the soil or the second level of the environmental site assessment and soil samples. And then it's going to continue to operate for 2 more years as a racetrack. So things could change in that 2 years. So to me, this doesn't make sense to put this requirement on there in regard to the purchase of it. What I can say is there will be, I've talked to Mr. Smith over this in regard to the level 2. There will be a level 2 assessment done. However, first, if I'm remembering and understanding correctly and having read the level 1, that before you do the level 2, everything's going to have to be moved off of the property in order to be able to do that. That's not going to occur until the 2 years are up because, again, it's going to continue to operate as a racetrack. Also, what you're talking about is oil spills, gasoline, and antifreeze that could have been spilled in the area during that time. What the concerns would be involving all of those products are the metals that are in the fluids, essentially. Those metals are something that are they're going to be heavy and they're going to stay. So it's not as though they're going to rise. There are ways to mitigate those risks that could be faced once the soil samples and the level 2 assessment is done. And that would be factored into the design phase more than likely, because one thing you can do with that is you don't necessarily have to excavate, which that can be one solution, but another solution is capping it. And that's actually legal and compliant to be able to do. One way of capping that could be where you would have those area that those spills would be, which would more than likely be the pit area. You could look at having that be where your parking lots are going to be. You're going to have asphalt on that. Also, keeping in mind where the track is, close to the road where the expansion is going to be. Along there is where, with this plan, the option 2, this is moving the roadway over so that it's going to be closer to that. And as you've seen from the pictures, part of that would be going over the area where part of that track is. So again, you're talking about putting concrete asphalt because you're talking about a multi-use sidewalk. You're talking about the road. There's a lot of things that are already going to be covering that up. Mr. Hilborn, Mr. Smith, and Ms. Latorno have all done their due diligence in this. Everything has been looked at. There may actually be some things that can also be done in regard to as the road is being built, not just along there, but further areas where we're going to be digging up dirt that can then be used to put on top of some of those areas and do fill in as well. So all of this is going to be taken into consideration. When it is purchased, I believe that we need to go ahead and move forward. And I would ask that we not vote in favor of this amendment and trust that our city is going to do everything that they need to do. And they've looked at this and spent numerous hours, months, weeks working on this. So I'd ask you to vote down this amendment. Let's move on to the next one and vote in favor of this for the benefit of our community.
Councilperson Allen on the amendment.
So while I'm voting for this regardless, I do think that I think that the 2 previous council members are saying the same thing. If a level 2 is going to be done, it's going to be done anyway, correct? Is that what both people, one wants one, and the other one's saying that it's going to be done. Is it confirmed that the level 2 is going to be done? That's first of all. So is it going to be done anyway and made public record?
Well, if it's done, it'll be public record.
Okay. But is it going to be done?
Well, I
I
can't.
think what this is saying is it needs to be done and it needs to be public record. It's not stopping the sale from what I understand Mr. Baker saying. It's not stopping the sale. It's just before it's finalized, it needs to be done and made public. Do I have that correct?
You have that correct.
So it's not even, so we can be working on contracts and all that other stuff while we're waiting on this to be done.
There's one way that the sale would not go forward, and that is if the amendment passes, and that is if no level 2 environmental study is done, or if for some reason it's not made public. The mayor is obviously correct. Any study we pay for is going to be a public record, and it will be public.
Okay, so I think that we need to do it. I mean, there's, if one is saying that it's going to be done anyway, we have to do it, and the other is saying we need it to be done before it's finalized, I think we should go ahead and put it in. Thank you.
Councilperson McLaughlin, you're recognized on the amendment.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple things. One, I believe that we could probably already access information from TDEC on any environmental findings that have occurred on that property because of its use. And I say that because I send samples for my work to TDEC, so that's something that's probably already available. And then also, the concerns about environmental, I believe, will be part of the purchase agreement that's still in the works. And Mayor's nodding his head. So there's a way to get all of those things addressed all during the purchase agreement.
Yes. Councilperson Holloman, you're recognized on the amendment.
Thank you, Mayor. Like a previous councilperson just said, I'm already working on trying to work into the contract to mitigate the environmental effects. But I mean, it's been a racetrack for how many years? Like as far as like environmental study, like it's a racetrack. Cars leak, cars get damaged. I'm sure it's not good, but I'm going to be putting this down, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Councilperson Reynolds on your amendment.
I'd just like to say that if I was a private citizen purchasing this racetrack, I would not purchase this racetrack without doing an environmental study first. I will say that we owe this to our community. It's just a receipt. It's just showing, yes, we know, and yes, we're going to mitigate it, and this is what it's going to cost. It's being transparent, and I think it's important that to gain the trust of our residents. We're already paying double the price, and you realize that we have to have 2/3 of the vote here. And I support this, and I understand all the pieces behind it. I just think it's important that we show them why and how. And if we're going to do it, then let's do it up front. So there's no question as to what we are doing.
Mr. Baker.
Yeah, it's not. I just want to address this stuff about the contract. So the city, I can't think of a time we've ever bought property before where we do not include in the purchase agreement a provision, and I believe that what we will have in this one will include it as well. But we've never not had a due diligence period where we are allowed to conduct whatever environmental assessments are required or we think are needed. And it's written in the contract, will be always written in such a way that if it comes back bad, we can make the decision that we're not going to go through with the sale. So you just need to be aware of that. What this does, it just authorizes the mayor to enter into an agreement to purchase the property. But there's nothing that requires anything or more than that. I mean, other than what I just discussed a few moments ago. But the mayor can always insist on certain provisions being included in the contract of sale, and we would do that as a matter of course. So it's not like the city is not going to be protected. I just wanted to make sure you understood that.
Councilperson Zacharias, you're recognized on the amendment.
Thank you, Mayor. I do think an environmental site assessment level 2 needs to be done. I do question the whether doing it 2 years before it stops to operate as a racetrack is a good idea. If this amendment simply said or guaranteed or required that the environmental site assessment level 2 be done and not put it as a condition of the finalization of the sale, I can support it. As it is written, I cannot. Thank you.
Councilperson Lovato, you're recognized on the amendment.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have a clarifying question for you. This level 2, it was my understanding from the last meeting that it was already going to be done before any rec plans began. So is there any benefit to doing two, one now and then one after the racetrack ceases operations? It seems like it's going to cost us more money without any real benefit.
Well, this amendment specifically speaks to the purchase, so they would have to be done before the purchase was completed and made public. And then once we bring the lease to the council for approval, for the 2-year period that we have in spirit agreed to for Mr. Scoggin, then we would go through a whole nother series of evaluations of the property, site plans, engineering, sinkholes, geotechnical, as we know, they're everywhere. So there's going to be a lot of work done on this site already. And this is just the very first step, or second, if you will. The first one being, got to have a willing seller and a willing buyer. We have both, but now we need council approval in order to go forward.
And just to make sure everyone understands and that I understand correctly, voting against this amendment does not mean that we are not going to do a level 2 study.
That's exactly right.
Thank you.
Councilperson Redd, you're recognized on the amendment.
Thank you, Mayor. I think the previous speaker just stole some of my thunder there. I'm looking at the ordinance here, and basically the ordinance just says that the mayor acting through the city attorney is just going to be in the negotiation process. I think, and I'm for a soil sample and to be done, but just not this level of the negotiations yet. And I did get some great information from one of the other members that talked about TDOC. And most time, if you buy a property, I know whenever I bought a property, there's always contingencies that is on there where they're inspected, and if this doesn't line, it gives you a way to back out or whatnot. One thing I would like to see too, but I won't make an amendment or anything to it, is the appraisal of the property, you know. But I'll be voting against this because I don't think this time that the soil sample should be done, and it doesn't mean that it, like the previous speaker said, that it's not going to be done later, because obviously it has to be done later. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilperson Allen, you're recognized on the amendment.
All right, y'all, I got it now. Okay, so I'm going to have to take that back. I think that we should go ahead and vote this down because it's going to be done anyway through negotiations. However, that brings up another question for me. If while you're doing the purchase agreements and all that other stuff, the due diligence period is during the purchase. Do we do another? I mean, when it's leased for those 2 years, do we do another one? I mean, what happens? So we're doing the due diligence, like somebody said, one of the council members said, it doesn't make sense to do it before we lease it. But then we really are going to have to do it before we lease it because we're in the purchase period. So can somebody explain it to me?
Well, I can explain it. The lease is a separate document, as you know,
Right.
and there will be terms and conditions in the lease, payment, insurance, property taxes, so on and so on. We can put provisions in there, and we'll put provisions in there to protect the city's interest regarding insurance, making sure if an accident happens on that property, we are protected, as well as any environmental issues that may occur. All that will be contained within the lease document.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councilperson Shekinah, you're recognized on this.
Thank you, Mayor. I think that us purchasing the property, we're going to control it, all right? If we don't, if for some reason we didn't go through with it, and a developer purchased this property, then we no longer controls it. So you talk about putting citizens at risk. You have a greater risk by us not purchasing the property. So I think we really should focus on purchasing the property, do our due diligence to protect do the right test that needs to be conducted. And then, if we have to cordon off certain sections, then we do that. But I think we definitely should go ahead and purchase this and go through with this vote.
Thank you. Councilperson Reynolds, on your amendment.
Well, I would just like to say, Mayor, you said like if we did the sample now, we did the environmental testing, then it's part of the lease. We could at that point protect our interests on top of if it was clear, or we would say that you have to follow certain regulations so you don't. I just continue to say, once we purchase it, I mean, there's nothing that says we're going to do a level two environmental or soil sampling. We can buy it at this point without doing that. All the samples so far and the appraisals have not tested the sample, and they've all, both the appraisal and the environmental level 1 assessment said that it was a risk because there was no soil sample.
Point of information.
Point of information, Councilperson Allen.
No one said there's not a level 2, and the purchase agreement has to come back before us. So if it's not in there, we'll see it. We'll know that it's not in there. The purchase agreement has to come back to us. We have to vote on that.
So I'm just saying, put it
Purchase and lease.
Yes, they both have to come back to us.
So that's what I'm trying to put it before we go.
We have a baseline environmental with the phase 1, and then we'll put in there a provision to protect our interest in the lease and purchase and sale agreement. Okay, Councilperson Redd, you are recognized.
I'd like to call for the question by voice vote, if I may.
Motion been made. Any objection to ceasing discussion? Hearing none. Okay, we are now voting on the amendment. Just voting on the amendment. All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, take the vote.
1 yes, 12 no, 0 abstain.
Amendment fails. We're now on the ordinance as originally presented. Any comment or question regarding ordinance 54? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote on ordinance 54? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
12 yes, 1 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 54 adopted, first reading. Chairperson Streetman.
That concludes my report, Mayor.
Okay. We're ready for Gas and Water Committee. Chairperson Holloman, you're recognized.
All righty, we had a pretty good gas and water committee. Actually, excuse me, we did not have a gas and water committee meeting this month as it was Christmas, so we went ahead and took a break. But I'm gonna say some names, and if I mispronounce your name, I just want to go ahead and I just want to apologize because that's it's a personal flaw. But we congratulate Matthew Kajilvik, Sean Sims, Joel Valencia, Dylan Earwood, and Timothy Paris on earning their Tennessee Grade 2 Water Distribution Certification upon passing rigorous exam involving scenario, informational, and math equation questions concerning all areas of the water distribution system. At last, we checked Clarksville Gas and Water had the highest percentage of certified operators per capita when comparing to the highest 5 populations served throughout the state of Tennessee. Recently, Sewer Division Management attended a compliance meeting with state regulators to discuss overall systems maintenance and operation efforts. When discussing and describing these efforts, the 2 TDEC inspectors made comments such as cutting edge and top tip of the spear. One inspector stating that the hairs on his arms were standing up due to his excitement upon reviewing one of the many new programs implemented through the use of GIS. The meeting resulted in another satisfactory review by TDEC, with the inspectors proposing our sewer division perform presentations to the regulatory authority, boards, and other utility districts displaying how the efforts have improved our sewer systems. So that's a really great thing. We're going to go around and share our knowledge. Once again, these efforts testify to the capabilities and achievements of our employees at Gas and Water. And then I've got another announcement. Let's see. Clarksville Gas and Water recently learned of an attempted phone scam in its service area and advises the public to be cautious. and aware of potential fraud and scams by their phone or other methods. The suspected phone scam artist claimed to be a representative of the Public Utility Service and attempted to collect personal information and banking information from a customer. Clarksville Gas and Water employs an interactive voice response system. It's IVR as the acronym. Automated phone system to remind customers to pay past due accounts. But if in doubt, please call the office at 931-645-7400. Check the status of your utility account or access your account online. www.clarksvillegw.com. A friendly customer service representative is happy to help you with any questions about your account. And that will conclude my report.
Thank you. Good report. Any comment or question regarding Gas and Water Committee? Seeing none, we're now ready for Neighborhood and Community Services Committee. Chairperson Shekina, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. The Community Neighborhood and Services team has spent much of the past month working one-on-one with a lot of the tornado victims. This included canvassing neighborhoods, checking on residents, and connecting them with immediate community resources for shelter, food, generators, and fuel. With our HUD disaster recovery waivers approved, the team is now pivoting to long-term recovery, to rehome residents, to reconstruct and repair homes. This will include expanding the existing tenant-based rental assistance. So if you know of anyone that was affected by the 9 December tornado who may be in need of assistance, or property managers looking to house families, please direct them to Community Neighborhood Services at 931-648-6133, or they can email us at community@cityofclarksville.com. Because of many of our nonprofit groups have been working with affected residents, we have also extended the deadline for our CBDG, Community-Based Development Grants, sub-recipient applications, which was deadline on the 10th of January. It is now extended through the 17th of January at 2 p.m. Right, for the month of our completed lease agreements, we still stand at 19. Pending inspections and leases, we now have 4. Home repairs, 22. This concludes the neighborhood and community services. But as the last plug, our next meeting will be on Monday, the 9th of January at 4:30 in the City Hall conference room. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Chairperson Shekina. Any comment or question regarding this committee report? Seeing none, we're now ready for Parks and Recreation Committee. Chairperson Zacharias, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. As you might expect, our meeting in January was consumed largely by the discussion of the purchase of December, or meeting in December, was consumed largely by the discussion of the property on Needmore. So to all of my fellow members of the council, I'd just like to share my appreciation for both the contributions to the discussion and ultimately for passing that ordinance. Staff has laid out the plan for a new bollard and rock project that will control vehicle access, delineate parking, and add to the aesthetics of Billy Dunlop Park. In partnership with the Cumberland River Compact, a new riparian barrier project will start President's Day weekend, adding over 75 trees to the park. Let me just go ahead and save you the time of looking up the word riparian, because I had to. It just refers to the banks of the river. Okay, the function of the riparian barrier is to lessen the erosion on the riverbanks. In 2023, almost 4,800 youth and adults participated in year-round athletic events or activities hosted by the Parks and Rec Department. Additionally, over 10,000 youth with outside organizations to include Recreation League Soccer, Travel Baseball, and Youth Little League utilized city facilities to host practice games, games, and tournaments. This does not include the parents and siblings or grandparents who attended with the youth. And as always, for more information and a complete list of programs, classes, ongoing activities, or if you're interested in joining the department as a grounds and facilities maintenance assistant or a grounds and facilities crew chief, please visit clarksvilleparksrec.com. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Chairperson Zacharias. Any comment or question regarding that committee report? Seeing none, hearing none, we're ready for the Public Safety Committee. Chairperson Redd, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Building and Codes Construction Division had 2,630 total inspections. Code Enforcement Division had 174 cases. Abatement Division worked 17 orders. The revenue generated for our city for the month of December was $264,904. The police department, we currently have 15 vacancies, and we soon will have 21 by mid-February. They are interviewing 26 candidates early next month, and from that group, they hope to have several go to the academy in April. The chief said he's very proud of the department, and we're all very proud of them for their response during and after the tornado. And there's too many stories to list of heroism and general kindness from these officers. And the chief and everyone is proud of all the city departments and how we came together with the leadership of Mayor Pitts to help the citizens during this catastrophic event. And just as a side note, I read the other day, since 2018, there's been a 60% increase on police officer violence in our country, and keep them in your prayers. One officer is shot every 45 minutes in our country today. Clarksville Fire Department, Fire Suppression Division had 1,679 calls. 70% were rescue and medical calls. 9 structure fires were in December with an estimated cost or loss of $337,250 of damage. This is colder weather, of course, January, and this is whenever the time to remind everyone, please have a working smoke alarm. Check your smoke alarms monthly or preferably weekly. I remember Chief Keel, when he was the chief here, he said one time, not one person, and that was that date, had died in Clarksville from a structural fire in a home that had a working, I emphasize the word working, smoke alarm there. So, also be sure that you have your people are going to turn the gas on, and so have your working carbon monoxide detectors. District Chief Stuart Telfer retired December 31st with 28 years of service in the fire department. Wish him well. Keep him in your prayers for his next chapter in his life. And that concludes my report, Mayor.
Thank you. Any comment or question regarding the Public Safety Committee? Seeing none, we're ready for the Transportation Streets Garage Committee. Chairperson Smith, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. The TSG reports are as follows for the month of December. Clarksville Transit total ridership for December was 43,050 riders. Fixed routes were 39,485 riders. Seniors fixed routes totaled 5,674. Parent transit riders totaled 3,573 riders. CTS supported 2 specials this month. They had 156 riders for the Warm Souls event, and then 91 riders for the Memorial Service event. Next, we have the Street Department. Streets paved in December were River Heights subdivision and Madison Memorial area. Tornado debris pickup is still continuing. It's still going on today. They hauled about 32,000 cubic yards of incident-related materials, which is about the size of a wash machine. Intersection improvement projects are as follows: Dunlop Lane and Ted Crozier Boulevard, first of the 3 intersections. Work will begin around January 15th. Also, 73 work orders were completed. That concludes the street department report. We now go to the city garage. The total number of citywide work orders total 350. And now in the month of December, fuel purchases made by the city garage for on-site fuel pumps for unleaded total cost was $74,218.41. For diesel costs for December was $44,605.66. Fuel costs for unleaded that was delivered on December 26th was $2.38 per gallon. There was a decrease from $2.49, which is a 4.4% decrease. Fuel cost for diesel was $2.63 per gallon, and that last delivery was December 28th. There was also a decrease of 18% from $3.21. This concludes my reports.
Thank you. Any comment or question regarding this committee report? Seeing none, we're now ready for new business. First item is ordinance 55, 2023-24, first reading. An ordinance to reschedule the July 2024 regular session of the City Council from July the 4th to Tuesday, July the 2nd. I'll entertain a motion. Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 55. Any comment or question regarding ordinance 55? Hearing none, seeing none. Are you ready to vote? Yes. All members cast your vote. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take their vote.
13 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 55 passes first reading. Next item is debt, comptroller's debt information form. This item on our agenda is the report on debt obligation to the Tennessee Comptroller of the Treasury. We are required to enter this report into the official record at a city council meeting. My thanks and our thanks to Lori Matta, our Chief Financial Officer, and the staff of the Finance and Revenue Department for their excellent work every day managing our finances. We're also grateful to Josh McCoy of PFM Financial Advisors and Jeff Oldham of Bass, Berry & Sims, our bond counsel. They all together are the reason our bond rating is at a stellar AA+. You'll notice that in the report, it says we issued $35,225,000 in debt issuance face amount with a premium of over $5 million, $5,022,495.20. A true interest cost interest type, and the interest rate is an outstanding 3.495292%. That is entered into the official record. We are now ready for the two items left over. One is move to the heel, which is ordinance 41. And then the next item is the tabled ordinance 49. We'll take up ordinance 41, which has been moved to the heel, and I'll recognize Councilperson Zacharias on that amendment, on that ordinance, 41.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Boy, I cannot imagine what some certain department heads' phones have been doing over the last 30 minutes or so. But I will say that it is my understanding that the traffic assessment policy says the street department, the regional planning commission, or the city council may request an additional study at any point in this application process. Personally, since this study makes the claim that Tiny Town can handle it, I would like to see a study that supports that claim in some form or fashion, whether that be a study that confirms that the structural integrity of the road can support a 60% increase in traffic. I would like to see, if we're talking about level of service, it's just not in the report. There's no mention whatsoever in this report even of the number of trips that Tiny Town does see. And the report does make a claim that Tiny Town, not any specific portion of Tiny Town, can handle it. And that's what I would like to see. Additionally, and I understand that we can't require this, I would like that report to be performed by somebody that does not have a financial interest in the development of this project, whether it's future design work or anything like that. I understand we can't require that. I've spoken, I've gotten my legal opinion on that, but I am reassured that we can request an additional study at any point. Thank you.
Okay. Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized.
I do want to say that I've talked with Mr. Baker and I've also talked with Mr. Tyndall. We do have to render final action within 100 days of the public hearing. The public hearing did occur at the December 7th meeting, so that would put us, if we were to postpone it to allow you to get the additional information that you wanted, that would put us at 91 days, but we would not be able to send it back without going over that 100-day limit that's in place as far as city code is concerned.
Okay. Councilperson Allen, you're recognized. Hang on, come right back to you.
I had said earlier that I thought the effect of going over would be that the application is approved. It's actually right the opposite, and this is contained in the zoning code. It's a section 11.4, which deals with amendments to the zoning code, and it's subparagraph, section 11.4, subparagraph number 3. It says the final clause, and council member Streetman is exactly correct, is 100 days following the public hearing. The failure to act shall be deemed to be a denial, not an approval.
Okay, Councilperson Allen, you have the floor.
I'm sorry, I was gonna tell you that.
Okay, just confirmed. Okay, Councilperson Marquis, you're recognized.
Yeah, I was actually going to mention a little bit about that 100 days, but since it was already said, I do have a question on if, let's say, this was postponed for 30 days, putting us at the 90-day. Is that enough time to conduct a traffic study to answer questions? Does anyone know if that's how long a traffic study takes?
I have no idea. I have no idea, but I suspect for the right amount of money, they can get it done.
All right.
Depending on how badly they want it done.
Yeah, because obviously you're pushing the limit at that point, and as I said at the last meeting when we first voted on it, that being in my ward, something that is big in pretty much all North Clarksville is that there isn't really much commercial or anything to do, and this would provide that commercial aspect to the residents in this area of town, especially since land is very limited on that side of Clarksville. So, I mean, I'm not against having an additional study just to get more information, but I wouldn't want to do it just for it to fail without having information. Thank you.
Councilperson Zacharias, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Baker, did I hear you right? The ordinance or the city code says that it has to be acted on within 100 days? Haven't we done that? Haven't we? I mean,
What it says, I'm sorry, I'm not advanced stage.
and I guess a follow-on question would be, what constitutes final act? I know we've postponed or we've referred items back to the RPC before.
You know, while he's looking up, the posture we're in is you've made the motion to re-refer the ordinance back to the Regional Planning Commission for an additional traffic study.
Yes.
Am I saying that correctly?
And I was hoping to make one more point before we actually vote.
Yeah, you have the floor though. I'm just buying him some time.
So the last sentence of subsection 3 of section 11.4 says, if the city council takes no final action upon the proposed amendment, supplement, or change, zoning district map amendment, or zoning ordinance text amendment within 100 days following the public hearing provided for in this section, the failure to act shall be deemed to be a denial. Your question, I believe, is if the city council takes no final action. I don't believe referring this matter back to the RPC would be final action.
Final. Okay. I'm not going to argue with the parliamentarian, but it sounds like it's final in this iteration. Okay. And that's 100 days from public hearing, which was 30 days ago. So we actually have 71-ish days.
So we're March sometime. You have the floor.
Okay. My motion to refer back to the RPC pending an additional study stands. Before we take a vote on that, I do think that it's worth noting that a partial owner of the organization, the firm that formed this study, did say tonight that this type of information that supports the conclusions found by the report, is important information for a decision-making body to have. And I agree. Thank you.
Councilperson Streetman, you're recognized on the motion to refer.
Thank you, Mayor. You are correct that with that being the second reading, because it's just 30 days in between first reading and second reading. So that would actually put it at the just under the 60 mark. So I apologize on that. I was thinking adding the second in there, and this is the second reading on that. I too, though, have to wonder how much information we're actually going to be able to get in that amount of time. I question, and I understand the postponement would allow more time to at least hear more information on that and allow you to be able to talk to Mr. Tyndall, street department, things of such. But I think when you actually look at it, and I did take a look at the big picture on it again, when you think about how developed all of Tiny Town Road is, and this is adding another portion to that, it's very hard to look at it and believe that it's actually going to double the amount of traffic that's on there. I think what you're going to have there is when you've got the commercial opportunities, as was referenced by a previous speaker, you're going to have people that are already living there or could be living in these new areas that are going to be visiting that commercial opportunity that's right there. I can see how you're looking at it, but I think part of that traffic would be almost like considered passive traffic. It's not just additional daily trips that, they're going to work, they're stopping here, they're stopping there. I don't think it's they're going up and down the road an additional 10,000 times when we've already got, and you said 18,000. I apologize. I did look to you and ask a question. That's my fault. So I apologize. But I just have a hard time thinking that this small portion of an already developed area is going to be putting that, increasing it from, adding 10,000 more on top of the 18,000 that's there. I think some of that traffic's already going to be there. But that's just my opinion in that. I would be ready to vote on this tonight, but I know if you'd like more information, I'm understandable to that as well.
Councilperson Lovato, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a question. If this is denied because of our failure to act because we go over that 100-day mark, when would the developer be able to bring this back on the table and request it again?
Takes 1 year.
1 year. With that being said, I would ask that you all vote no on this amendment and go ahead and pass this. North Clarksville does look to us for more commercial opportunities because there's not much there. So I wouldn't want to risk losing this opportunity for our area. Thank you.
Councilperson Zacharias, you're recognized on your motion to refer.
Okay, just to respond to some of those statements. It was not 10,000 in addition to 18,000. It was 18,000 in addition to 25 to 30,000. Again, I'm pulling this language directly from the traffic assessment. 18,000 additional trips. Between the two cases, yes, 18,000 additional trips. And that is between a 60 and 72% increase. And that's not including Autumnwood Farms, which, whether or not you want to consider that as well. I have one more. Something that somebody said. Oh, yes, it is a lot of information to gather in maybe a short period of time. But again, these are not my words. I am pulling the words from the report. If you're going to make the claim that Tiny Town can handle it, I think it's on you to provide the supporting information to back up that claim. That's all I'm asking for. It's possible that Tiny Town can handle it. Show me. Show me and I'll vote for it. That's all.
Councilperson Reynolds, you're recognized on the motion to refer.
I just wanted to add, that it does take 1 year, but a council person can bring it back up, and then it takes a 2/3 vote to bring it back on the agenda. So they don't really, we have done that in the past. So there is an opportunity, and it is not a 1 year and final thing.
Councilperson Red, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm like one of the previous speakers. You know, if you look at the map, it just, I can't see really a good reason not to vote for it. I mean, are we going to expect this to stay this way with that one portion there forever? I don't think so. And I wish I would have called for the question, but.
Okay, Councilperson Zacharias, closing arguments, and then you're done.
Point of order.
Yes.
It's been 3 times Mr. Zacharias has spoken.
All right.
This is on the motion.
All right. Okay, all right. I see no one else on the board, so we're voting on the motion to re-refer or to refer to the Regional Planning Commission for additional traffic study. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, take the vote.
6 yes, 7 no, 0 abstain.
Motion to refer fails. We're back on the ordinance 41 as presented. Any comment or question regarding ordinance 41? Hearing none, seeing none, are you ready to vote? This is second reading. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, take the vote, please.
9 yes, 4 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 41 is adopted. We are now ready for the item we tabled. Motion's been made to lift off the table ordinance 49, 2023, 24, properly seconded. I'm going to go to Councilperson Zacharias, who moved to table this. You're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to refer this item to the Regional Planning Commission for all of the same reasons. The additional comment that if the traffic study does exceed the 100-day requirement, I will personally make the motion to bring it back despite the red rule.
Okay. Motion been made to refer to the Regional Planning Commission ordinance 49 for additional traffic study. Properly seconded. Any comment or question? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? With the stipulation he'll personally make the motion. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, take the vote.
6 yes, 7 no, 0 abstain.
Motion to refer fails. We are back on ordinance 49 as presented. Any comment or question? Councilperson Allen, you're recognized on ordinance 49.
I would just like to say that right now this is slated R2. So there's going to be an additional 9,000 cars, regardless of if they put houses or these this C5. However, if we do the C5 and C2, there are less there's less back and forth trips. There's more one direction trips. Thank you.
Councilperson McLaughlin, you're recognized.
Just a blanket statement. There is undeveloped commercial property all along Tiny Town Road. Thank you.
Councilperson Red, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I agree with one of the previous speakers, the previous to the previous, that it would be, C5 would be lower amount of traffic than if you put residential. I know if I was to live here, I'd rather have a store or something like that rather than duplexes and houses and children and all that. I'd rather have a store because I'm old.
Okay. Any other comment? I can't top that. Any other comment or question regarding ordinance 49? Are you ready to vote on ordinance 49? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
9 yes, 4 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 49 is adopted. Second reading. We are now ready for mayor and council member comments. Councilperson Allen, you're recognized for comments.
Despite some people that don't want children in neighborhoods, we are back in school. Please slow down. Yeah, I say it every time. Please slow down. Please, please, please. The kids are walking. More children are walking. Slow down. Today was the first day back to school, and I've seen so many speeders. Please slow down.
Councilperson McLaughlin, you're recognized for comments.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to thank the police officers of 1A night shift for allowing me to observe with them on New Year's Eve. It reiterates the professionalism that our employees in our department have and the leadership that they have as sergeants. A very proactive shift, and I was grateful for the opportunity to ride with them. And then also, we have a celebrity watching live from Washington State. My brother Gary, also known as my mom's favorite child, is watching. And so I told him on text I would give him a shout out so the whole world knows that he's our mom's favorite.
So everybody wave at Gary.
Hi, Gary.
All right. We're sending her to you, Gary. All right. Any other comments? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Without objection, we are adjourned.